Hope you had a great holiday season. I'm sitting here with Brett Cloutier and Keith Bateman, head coach of the Augsburg baseball team. Keith, personally, how are your holidays? I know I had a great 3 weeks off, but how about yourself?
Well, yeah, it was busy. We just got back, actually, me and a couple other coaches got back from the convention, the ABCA convention down in Dallas. But I'm excited to get back to work and get back to school and see guys on campus. So it was good, but happy to be back on. So
I saw you a few times around here. Obviously, still hard at work, even though we're on break. Brett, how about you? You went back home, and it sounded like a great time.
It was wonderful to get back up north and go back to Brady, spend some time up in the wilderness, as you guys from the cities would think. But no, it was a good time to spend time with the family and kind of touching base with some old friends. It was good little break.
Way outside my element. So let's look at last year, Coach. We're talking about today in our bi-weekly update. Really about coaches, because the season's fast approaching, 3 weeks away now. I'll do our player breakdowns as we go along here, but coaches, let's review last year firstly, and quite simply, how did you feel your coaches performed in leading this team into a pretty successful season?
yeah, I think that our guys did a good job. We've been trying to create an environment that players feel the coaches are prepared, and that's how we're getting the players prepared. So the coaches have taken upon themselves and take a lot of pride in what they do. They're just not there to babysit players. They're there to make players better, and not just help them in baseball, but also in some of their endeavors in life as well. So I'm real happy with how our guys perform. I mean, it's a fun group to be around, and they're a very dedicated group.
You lose Coach Andy Nelson, who took a grad assistant position at Hawaii Pacific. He led the Mayakan Steels 2 seasons. He's an excellent base running coach, along with being the first base coach. Who fills the void for his loss? And it's pretty big shoes to fill, but which one of your assistants will just jump in there and take his place?
Yeah, Andy kind of follows a little bit of a pattern where we've brought in young coaches, helped develop them, and they've gone on, whether it's a grad assistant or lead assistants at upper division institutions. But what we're going to miss with Andy was not just his passion and drive, but Andy was the kind of guy where he didn't say a lot, but when he did, it really hit home with individuals. But I think we're able to kind of reload with Jeff Stomberg, who's going to kind of take that role upon himself for base running, and in his own right was a good base runner. And then he'll also help out a little bit with the strength and conditioning piece. And so it'll be a seamless transition. You do lose, you lose some of the things that Andy brings to the table, but I think what Jeff is going to have the opportunity to do is going to really help us in the long run.
Congrats, Andy Nelson, if you're watching, on the success at Hawaii. We miss you out here. Looking more at your assistants, Pete Fuller, you're a pitching coach. He's going to have his work cut out for him. You lost 6 pitchers that contributed a lot last year, and you got a lot of young guys coming in, and some returners that could also contribute. So, do you think that'll ease the pain of losing all those guys from last year?
Yeah, I know it will. When you look at it, it was a good year for Pete to come in, because he did have some veteran guys who knew how the system works and how we want to run things. And so Fuller, being his first really college coaching experience, was able to kind of be comfortable with that and not have to feel like he's leading everybody by the hand. And he's as excited as anybody to get the second year under his belt, because now he knows the facilities, the players, the practice setup, kind of what we want to do philosophically. And so it's going to be great. And with the talent that we have and the guys that want to learn and they want to be there, I mean, it's just going to build on what he was able to do. So I don't think, we're going to lose some guys that it was real nice to be able to put them out there and not have to think too much about it. But as far as the coaching aspect goes, Fuller's it's going to be great. Yeah, I'm excited for him.
We talked about Coach Jeff Stomberg and also pitching coach Pete Fuller. For those of the viewers who don't know or don't remember, who else consists of your coaching staff?
Well, we have Pat Marsh is back with me, and this is his 7th year. So Pat's been with me every year that I've been here. So right after he graduated, he was really the first coach that I hired. I kind of inherited Darryl Weiss, who was a phenomenal man in his own right. And so Pat's been with me. Pete, this will be his 2nd year. Stomby's 2nd year. Aaron Hazen, who's another Augie, will be with us. This will be his 3rd year. He helps out with hitting. Troy Deeden is going to be back, and Deed's had some run-in with some health issues, but is battling it and was able to successfully pretty much come off of a bone marrow transplant. which is a whole story in its own right, but he'll be back working with the catchers. And then we had Jeremy Nelson, who was, if you look at any of the pitching statistics in the early 2000s, Nelson's everywhere. And so he's going to come in and assist Pete Fuller, and we return Bobby Lynch, and who's as a student assistant, but Bobby's going to take control of the JV. So we kind of have a plethora of coaches, and so those guys, like I say, it's a bigger staff, but it's a very well, I think, directed staff.
As you were saying, it's a bigger staff, and obviously bringing in Jeremy Nelson, newcomer. How do you keep everybody focused on the same page with so many people and a lot of different minds that are coexisting together?
Yeah, well, that's a solid question. I think what we're able to do here at Augsburg is they're all Augies. I mean, they're all guys that have gone through the program. The only guy that's not a non-Augie is Pete Fuller, and so everybody else either played with me or played for me, or has coached with me for a couple years. But it's cool because you see things develop, and especially when guys become coaches, they as players, they know what goes on and how everything's run, and they bring great ideas where they say, hey coach, what if we did this? Well, they just experienced that a year or two ago, so who would know better than them? And so that's kind of how you keep guys together, is we've been together as a staff, years. Yeah.
I mean, every coach obviously has goals for their players. Now, do you have as a head coach, do you have goals for your assistants? And if so, can you share with us some of those goals?
Yeah, I mean, our goals, I want my assistants to be prepared so they can get our players prepared. I mean, the game of baseball, you're not going to have maybe every situation covered, but you need to cover the majority of them, and then the guys feel comfortable with those situations, and then they're able to be athletic in the other situations that come up. So I think that being prepared and the guys feeling comfortable and going through defensive drills, offensive drills, and that we're all kind of speaking the same language and saying the same thing. Because at times with a big staff, you can run into one coach says one thing about a guy's swing, the other coach says another thing, the other coach says another thing. Well, geez, the poor kid is trying to work on three things, and all the coaches are trying to help him, but they're all talking about something different. Whereas, we're able to, since we've all been around each other, we're kind of able to all see that same thing and be on the same page. But preparation's huge. I think if we can get our guys prepared at practice and prepared for games, then we roll the ball out there and see what happens.
Absolutely. Coach Keith Bateman, Brett Cloutier, thank you both very much. Coach,
yeah,
thanks for
Mike.
joining us. We'll be right back with the player breakdowns in 2 weeks, starting with the catchers, and we look forward to seeing you then, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you then, folks.